For decades, artists have come forward with the same claim.
Really the same song. Honestly, if you hear my song, it's the same song.
Oh,
Mine says,
man.
if you had my love and baby that gave me, if you had my trust, would you use it against me? Hers, I don't know. Can't even remember because it's so close, I can't even sing it right now.
That Jennifer Lopez stole their vocals, took their melodies, built her music career on their creative work, and never gave them the credit they deserved. But just like Hollywood, there are puppets and there are puppet masters. Two men made all of this possible. Tommy Mottola, the man who ran Sony Music like a personal kingdom, and Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, or whatever the man goes by these days, the man who personally guided J.Lo into the music world and made sure every door opened for her. Remember those two names, because they show up in almost every single story on this list. These are the 7 artists who helped build Jennifer Lopez's sound, and the puppet masters who made sure nobody ever talked about it. Let's get into it. Chanté Moore. Let's start with the story most people forget when they talk about Jennifer Lopez's very first hit. Chanté Moore was in the studio with Rodney Jerkins working on a song called If I Gave Love, her record, her sound, her voice all over it. Then Puff Daddy walked in, heard it, and told Jerkins he wanted that song for Jennifer Lopez. Jerkins rebuilt it and delivered it to J.Lo as If You Had My Love, her first single, her first #1, the record that introduced her to the world.
I heard an interview recently with Chanté Moore, and she mentioned about J.Lo had the song that you did for her that J.Lo took it to. And I'm like, what, Rodney? What happened?
I was really mad at Rodney Jerkins. That hurt. That hurt. I went in and recorded the song with Rodney. I should have been able to read The Water while we were there. And he was like, don't have me at his song and it not be the first single. That was my 2. By the time I got to the 2, Jennifer Lopez was out with her 1, which was mine. I just could have just.
Chanté Moore's sound launched Jennifer Lopez's music career. Before J.Lo had even found her footing, Puff Daddy had already handed her someone else's song. And that was just the beginning. Brandy and Chanté was not alone in this. Brandy was one of the most celebrated vocalists of her generation. A track called Ride or Die was written specifically around her voice and her delivery. Then, somewhere inside the label chain, it changed hands and landed under Jennifer Lopez's name. No credit, no conversation, nothing.
My mindset has definitely changed. You know, I feel very free. I feel blessed to have my own label and to work with a label like E1 that completely supports my vision of myself. And I just feel like I have a lot more control, creative control, and I'm just looking forward to seeing how far I can go with this mentality, with this newfound independence and creativity that I have to give.
Brandy never got acknowledgement for what was taken. She had enough momentum to keep moving forward. Not everyone on this list was that fortunate. Usher, and it was not just the women who felt it. Usher co-wrote a track called Ride during his Confessions era, his creative work from top to bottom. Then J.Lo released Get Right. The production DNA between both records ran through the exact same industry connections, and anyone paying close attention heard it immediately. Usher never made it a public war. He voiced his frustration privately, because when the system is that powerful, sometimes quiet frustration is all you can afford.
And how he's been, misrepresented. I'm not saying that every man is perfect. I'm not saying that all of us don't have flaws, but I can't, with any sense of humanity, not recognize the valuable contributions that this man made.
If it could happen to someone at Usher's level, it could happen to anyone. And it did. Mariah Carey. But no story on this list cuts deeper than what happened with Mariah Carey. And this one goes straight back to Tommy Mottola. Most people think the Mariah and J.Lo feud was about 2 powerful women and their egos. It was not. Mottola had built Mariah into a global superstar throughout the 90s. She was also his wife. Then the marriage collapsed, publicly, bitterly, and Mottola was not the kind of man who simply walked away. Before we go any further, you need to understand exactly who Tommy Mottola was. Because in 2002, Michael Jackson stood outside the Sony Music offices in New York and said something that shocked the entire entertainment world.
I own half of Sony's publishing and I'm leaving them, and they're very angry at me because of it, but the way they get revenge is to try and destroy my album. But But I've always said, you know, good art never dies. And Tommy Mottola is a devil.
The devil. That is what the king of pop called the man running Sony Music. And with Mariah out of his personal life, Mottola needed a new star to build. Jennifer Lopez was exactly what he was looking for. So the sample from Michael Jackson's Rockin' Robin that was central to Mariah's record Loverboy was taken and handed to J.Lo's I'm Real remix instead. Mariah's version was shelved. J.Lo's became a massive hit.
So here you were, 19? Mm-hmm. Okay, and he was 20 years older, and he's interested in you romantically.
Mariah Carey came to me crying. She was crying so bad I had to hold her.
Is it true that Tommy Mottola was the first man that you went to bed with? Mm-hmm. Yeah?
He's great. I mean, he's like the best person in the world.
He believed in me. You could be as big as Michael Jackson, he would say to me.
He made you.
When Mariah married Tommy, her dream came true. But there was a catch.
Mariah, you know that it has been written that you were a hostage in that house. Did you feel that? True or not, did you feel it? Obviously you did.
The feud between Mariah and J.Lo was never about two women. It was about what one powerful man took from one of them and handed to the other. Mariah has never forgotten it. And now you understand exactly why. Natasha Ramos. Then there is a name most people have never heard, and that silence is the entire point. Natasha Ramos sang the chorus, the bridge, and every ad-lib on Jenny from the Block, one of J.Lo's most iconic records. You have heard her voice thousands of times without ever knowing her name. Then, the original demo leaked online.
I'm still Jenny from the Block. Used to have a little, now I have a lot. No matter where I go, I know where I came from. Don't be fooled by the rocks that I got. I'm still Jenny from the Block. Used to have a little, now I have a little. No matter where I go, I know where I came from. From the Bronx!
She is right there. Her delivery, her phrasing, transferred directly into the final version without a writing credit, without a feature, without anything. Jennifer Lopez performed that song on stages around the world for years. Every single time Natasha Ramos heard her own voice coming back at her from someone else's spotlight. Christina Million's story hits differently because she never even got to see her own record released under her name. Christina recorded Play completely. The chorus, the verses, every vocal run, every ad-lib, her performance from top to bottom. Then Tommy Mottola handed it to Jennifer Lopez. Christina has always been clear. Her issue was never with J.Lo personally. It was with Mottola, the man who could hear a young artist's work and simply decide it belonged to someone more valuable to him at that moment.
My 19th birthday, I had woken up that morning. I was supposed to go to the studio and I had the track. And I was like, oh man, I was up all night. And then it was my first time really kind of partying, and I woke up in bed and I was like, my mom was like, you have the studio, you better make sure that you had the song all weekend. And literally, I wrote it like a Dr. Seuss rhyme in 10 minutes before the studio.
And it worked.
And yeah, but I didn't put too much thought into it, and I didn't think it would actually end up on like
the radio.
Yeah. So I like the fact that she added some spice to it and did her J.Lo.
Tommy really believed in the record, and he was relentless. He would not give up. He's like,
The man Michael Jackson called the devil sat at the top of Sony Music and made calls like this without a second thought. Every single time. And then there is Ashanti, and this one has receipts. Before Ashanti was a signed artist, she was a session vocalist. You came in, you sang, someone else got the credit. That was the reality for young singers without a platform or a label behind them. One of those sessions produced the Ja Rule remix of I'm Real. One of J.Lo's biggest records of the early 2000s, Ashanti's vocal style, her delivery, her tone, woven through that record completely. Then Ashanti got signed, started releasing her own music, and millions of people immediately recognized that voice from a Jennifer Lopez record sitting at the top of the charts. Ashanti confirmed publicly that her vocals were on I'm Real, and that the credit she received did not reflect what she actually gave to that record. Ashanti went on to become one of the defining voices of the early 2000s, completely on her own terms. But what happened on I'm Real was not an accident. It was the system doing exactly what it was built to do. Now, before we close this out, something needs to be said. This video is not here to discredit Jennifer Lopez or everything she has worked for. The truth is, we do not know how much of this she was even aware of. Artists at that level are often surrounded by powerful people making decisions on their behalf without ever fully informing them. Jennifer Lopez may have been as much a product of that system as the artists whose work was redirected toward her. Hollywood and the music industry surrounding it have always had a way of making things happen for their own benefit. Not for the artists, not for the truth, for the machine. And the men sitting at the top of that machine have always walked away without consequence, while everyone else absorbed the cost. What happened to these 7 artists was not about Jennifer Lopez the person. It was about the machine she was placed inside and the men who ran it. Jennifer Lopez is one of the rare few who crossed over completely. From Hollywood actress to music icon, the same way Jamie Foxx did it, the same way Will Smith tried to do it. But what most people never knew was what was happening behind the scenes while that crossover was taking place. Who was pulling the strings? And whose creative work was being used to make it all possible? Hollywood has always been about the image. The name on the poster, what happens behind the curtain, has always been a different story entirely. Now you know the full story. If this changed the way you see Jennifer Lopez's career, drop a comment below and tell us which story hit you the hardest. And if you want more untold stories from the golden era of Hollywood, Last Nostalgia is exactly where you need to be. We will see you in the next one.